If you could take a pill every day that perfectly replicated a good night's sleep, made you feel physically refreshed and chemically balanced, like a real sleep, would you take it every day? What would you do with all that newly acquired time? Real sleep doesn't do that for me, so yes, I'd probably use my free time to sleep. Take one before the sleep. That's how you exit the simulation. Or get put one level deeper. Easy near. Don't you wish you had taken the blue pill? I would take it for sure. And use the free time to track down the elusive colossal squid. No retro gaming tournaments. Well, I would, of course, master Beatman, and continue to enjoy my solitary hot pocket at dawn. No, sometimes I just want the lights to go out and wake up confused in 12 hours. I mean, drugs. I'd take it about every 10 hours, so I'm always refreshed. I'd probably have to spend some of that time eating a lot more to accommodate the additional calorie burn. Smart. I think if that ever became the case and was affordable, sleep would be a luxury. Employers would create more strenuous shifts that would run into the night, and those who need the money would take the opportunity. Sleep would become a part of the rich-poor divide. I'd say that sounds dystopian, but it sounds scarily plausible. A great comic about this idea, Power Nap. Link. Number 1 would only want to take it on the weekends. No way I want to be fully awake while at work. I'd double down and have a nice sleep. I've long had a theory that a secondary purpose of sleep is how it separates our life into the chunks we know as days, and think if suddenly our physiological needs for sleep were met, there would be unintended consequences of how our time chunks no longer have beginnings or ends, and would no longer need to have a rhythm. I mean, I'd take the pill. Can always stop taking it if my suspicions are proven correct. I remember things always felt off if I had to pull an all-nighter in school, not just from sleep deprivation, but from the feeling that the previous day hadn't really ended. Usually I'd rather lay down and get at least 1 or 2 hours of sleep rather than just keep going all night, to avoid that weird feeling of days flowing together. So I dunno, you may be onto something. Try being a regular night shift person. You work, and it's one day, you go home. It's the next day, you start working again. It's the same day, etc, etc. I never know what day it is. I remember that shit all too well. It was also awful in the summer. I'd work 10 PM 6 AM and I'd usually go to bed right when I got home. Sometimes I'd wake up and the clock says 8:00 and I'd scramble to start getting ready and then realize it's actually 8 AM. Pretty much same sunlight as 8 PM, so it's really ducky. I would be tempted, but would wait a few years to let everyone else try it out and make sure there are no weird effects. Like maybe the loss of the dream state causes your subconscious to bring dreams into the real world. This would actually make a neat story. I wanna say there are like 5-6 movies based off of this, as well as a Star Trek TNG episode. The crew could still sleep, but lost the ability to REM sleep. Some lower level crew members, TNG's version of red shirts, died due to psychotic episodes. Heck no, I need the mental shut off. Exactly my thought. What would I do with the extra time? I'd sleep. Sleeping lets my brain relax. Even if I'm having stressful dreams, it's better than being awake. Not that my life sucks. I just need a break from actively thinking about my thoughts. My house would be spotless, and I would read everything that's currently going red on my shelves. No. BC, I love to dream. It sounds corny and I wouldn't want to stop. I had a dream last night. We were playing Monopoly and poker. You roll the dice and land somewhere, and use your poker hand to buy stuff. I woke up just giggling how nonsensical dreams can be. I'd probably get a second job to be able to afford the pills. Not a big fan of reality, so those 6-8 hours of sleep are a blessing for me. So I wouldn't take it. The only reason I'd consider taking it is because I'm rarely able to get a full night of quality sleep. If I'm going to be awake anyway, I might as well take some miracle pill that makes me feel rested and productive. Otherwise, I agree with you. I'd rather just sleep instead. If I could. I would exercise more, put in time to learning an instrument, and other hobbies. I would like to think I would do the same, but I'm sure I would just use the extra time to drink and play video games. If it wasn't expensive as all heck, yes I would, because laying in bed for 10 hours or more in order to get a good night's rest ducking sucks. I probably would still take advantage of naps every now and then, but it should essentially be a cure for my insomnia. I'd play video games 16 hours a day instead of 8. Take my money. I would take it and use the time to plot the murder of the guy who gave me the pill, his supplier, all his supplier's colleagues, and everyone else involved in its creation and all evidence it ever existed. It's the only way to stop the workday suddenly getting 8 longer for everyone, and the human race becoming the first species in the history of the universe to go extinct by underpopulation, caused by mass suicide. Yes, especially since I don't get good sleep now for various reasons. I would say I would invest more time in hobbies and personal growth. Learn a language, practice piano, paint, write more. But in reality I would most likely spend that time like I currently spend my free time, which is mostly YouTube, Netflix, gaming, Reddit, although, who knows, perhaps the specialty of it would make me more conscientious of it, and I would use the time more wisely. It's called meth. I would probably occasionally take the pill, but definitely not every day. I love the occasional nights where my brain gives me a fantastic dream. I love that feeling of being very tired and collapsing into bed and switching off immediately. I even love the moments where I wake up and think what the duck just happened. BC my dreams were that weird. I used to have massively vexed issues sleep. I was too afraid as a kid to close my eyes in bed lol, and it still takes me a while. But I also know that my self-care would rapidly decline, and I would probably unfortunately use those extra hours to work on my PhD if I could skip sleep. Morning coffee sales would plummet. The market would be thrown into chaos. Society would break down. You would have to take the pill to stay awake to protect yourselves from the hordes of borderland-esque psychos roaming the wastelands. Yeah, I would take it. I'd enjoy a solitary hot pocket at dawn every day. Number 1, already have too much time to do nothing with. I don't need more. Sleep. That knits up the raveled sleeve of care. The death of each day's life. Sore labor's bath. Balm of hurt minds. Chief nourisher in life's great feast. Number. I mean, that's just speed, right? Literally describing Adderall. I would take it, and I finally would start to invest time in myself. I would learn new things and do more sports. Nope. I get a good night's sleep every night anyway. I would pay a lot for that pill. A lot. I would take it every 12 hours and never sleep more than a nap. I think if there's one thing this pandemic has taught us, it's that all those things we haven't done, the books we haven't read, the paintings we haven't painted, the foreign languages we haven't learned, have not been because we lacked the time. But you're still hungry. Couldn't resist a Chrono Trigger reference. But in all seriousness, I think something like this would be wildly popular. I do have my doubts as to whether it would end up being a good thing in the end. For one, people have a tendency to fill available time. If you compare how people lived in earlier eras, much of the day was devoted to labor of various kinds, say, washing clothes by hand, preparing meals, handling animals, etc. Today, much of that drudgery forgotten. Yet we find ourselves with no great amount of free time, because people tend to fill in any saved time with other chores or needs. I think regardless of what time we would save, we'd ultimately strive to make it productive, even if that resulted in a less personally happy outcome. Another thing that would crop up would be who gets access to this new pill. Anyone taking it would see a massive leap in productivity versus anyone who does not, making them significantly more valuable in a variety of labors. There could be a huge economic and cultural divide between those who are no longer sleeping and those cursed to keep dozing. So, I guess I'm predicting war over a pill. Read more. I usually have to force myself to put down the damn book and go to sleep. I used to read under the covers with a flashlight when I was a kid. My mom got tired of the batteries always being dead, so she stopped checking on me after bedtime. That was 60 years ago, and I'm still reading at bedtime. No way. Sleeping is my favorite activity. I'd take it. The time would be dedicated to learning, improving, or working. Heck yeah, I would. Sounds a lot better than coffee. Wait, does this pill have side effects? I'd just get so much more done if I was properly awake in the mornings. Not that I don't get things done now, but somehow I'd do even more things. Let's be honest, probably work. Because if sleep was no longer a necessity, then the 8-hour workday would probably become 10, 16. Companies would need to cater to people awake all day. So most stores would become 24-hour, if not all. Following that, the big companies would do the same. Since it's just standardized for long work days, it wouldn't happen immediately, but I'm quite confident over maybe a decade it would happen. I feel like my eyes would get super tired dry. Depends. What are the side effects? I mean, if a social anxiety drug can give you diarrhea, vomiting, and anal leakage, what would the side effects of this pill be? Not a quiet time necessarily, but without feeling groggy and grumpy, without relying on caffeine to function, with more energy and fewer things that hurt. Everything. I would do all the things, and I would do them so much better. I would absolutely take it, and I would do absolutely nothing until a call came in. Then I'd go rescue whatever cat needs rescuing. Would provide me more time to save lives, so that's a plus. I mean, if it worked perfectly, there would be no reason to actually sleep other than for psychological reasons. That is, you wanted to. Personally, I don't have issues with sleep, except I often feel like I don't get enough. This pill would help complement my actual natural sleeping. So nothing really changes, except I wouldn't feel bad about staying up a little late, because I'd simply go to sleep normally, then pop the pill when I wake up. That said, as some of the top level comments mention, if this is widely available, we are gonna see societal shifts which aren't gonna be all that great. 125% I would get time to work on my artistic skills without sacrificing time I would typically use for work. Yes, and read. Can you imagine how much you could learn if you had the extra time? They have these free courses for education, and I would start and never stop. I've always said, if someone could find a way to bottle sleep so that you can drink it and feel refreshed, awake, and gain all the proper benefits of sleep, they would be the wealthiest person alive. What if I take it and then go to sleep? Will I just go into some infinite limbo mode? The obvious answer is yes, of course. Can we now stop with the shitty people of Reddit? How would you feel about this very convenient invention feature that makes your life 10x easier to live? I would boycott the pill, because the second my boss hears I have 8 extra hours to work every day, the pill may simulate sleep, but I will never rest. That is, until normal people using the pill start working 90-hour weeks and rent goes up. Then I'll have to use the pill the same way people need cars to get to work now. Yeah. I'd be too worried about figuring out what to do with all my extra time to actually get anything done. As someone who frequently deals with bad insomnia, I would not choose to take a pill over actual sleep. It's hard to explain the feeling if you've never been up for multiple days at a time. But your mind needs the break that sleep provides. It's much more than just physical. You start to go ducking mad without sleep.